People remember how you made them feel. Not what you said, but how you made them feel. And you can start with, how can I help make this client feel special?
Welcome to the Grant Wise Show. This podcast helps ordinary real estate agents build extraordinary companies. Let's grow in 3, 2. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Grant Wise Show. I'm your host, Grant Wise, and I'm excited today to be joined by people that I consider to be very close and dear friends. We got Katrina and Neil, and they have built an absolutely incredible real estate team in Canada. They are they're recognized as the number one team at EXP in British Columbia, one of the top teams amongst all brokerages in British Columbia. They have a very unique business model and are just the most wonderful people that you will ever interact with. So Katrina and Neil with Katrina and the team, thank you so much for stopping by the show today.
It's our pleasure. We're honored to be here.
Thank you for having us.
I love it. Yeah, of course. Okay, so whoever wants to go, I would love to hear the story, right? We're number one today in the market, but I know it wasn't always like that. Long road to get here. So just tell us the story. How did you all get to where you are today?
Well, we started back in 2004. Myself and Neil worked together with an assistant, and we basically had this journey of like building the business first. We built the business first to make ourselves successful in our own way. And as we grew, as time, went by, market change, we almost quit in 2008. I think a lot of people almost did. If they're still in the business, they almost quit. And if they were in the business in 2008, and then we just navigated through real estate, wanting to do well for our family. And we decided to start to grow our team when we realized that there's people out there who can really use the services that we have, the care that we put into the business, because we realized we were being secret agents at one point. Even kids, families in our school, in our kids' school, didn't realize we were realtors, and they hired realtors who didn't do the right thing for them. And one of the comments that we got from one of the parents is that, I didn't know you were a realtor. Had I known, I would have called you. And I realized I did them a disservice because they lost money throughout that process. And I took it upon myself. Neil and I had a conversation. That's it. We're going to start promoting ourselves and really being proud of being realtors because we care for the people. And so that's when we started advertising. We started advertising ourselves. There's another incident where another client of ours, they weren't our clients really. Our clients are our clients when they hire us, right? But there was a family referred to us back in the day, and I've nurtured them for 3 years, and they decided to work with another realtor, not because the information I provided was not good. The skills that I have is not good enough, because I had more skills when I sat on the table, on a listing appointment. I had the skills. I had the credibility to be able to help them sell their home. And I nurtured this relationship for 3 years, and they were referred to me, but they hired another realtor. They hired a realtor who was promoting himself, who had advertising all over the area, and made him more credible than we were. And so that was the start of this whole journey of growing, building the team, is when we're like, that's it. We're no longer going to be secret agents, and we're going to advocate for ourselves. We're not going to like be high and mighty and not say we're not spending our money in marketing, because marketing is key. And it's really important for us to be able to market ourselves, because that's how people buy. So we invested in ourselves at that time, in committing to one bus shelter, and wrapping our vehicle with our faces on it was a big undertaking. Number one, it's that whole, oh my gosh, people are going to make fun of me. And number two, it's a lot of investment. Like, to commit to a bus shelter, it's expensive. And we weren't making as much money, but we needed to invest in ourselves in order to be able to attract more people and eventually, bring the success that we have. So that's kind of like a back end story. Like we had a chip in our shoulder. We lost a client, we almost lost another one, and then we grew our team. uh, 2016 is when we officially built this team that we have. We've had two attempts to build this team, and we basically just surrounded ourselves with the right people, continued to explore how we can be better than ourselves. It's not about being number one for us, it's more of what can we do so we can be better, and we can optimize and maximize what we have so we can make a bigger impact in our community.
I love it. That's a wonderful story. And you all play somewhat differentiating roles on the team, right?
Yeah, we're exact opposite. Neil's my husband. Neil's my husband too. Yeah.
Tell us about this. You all are obviously you're married and you run the team together, and I know that you're both just different personalities. So talk to us about how you built this together and how you complement each other, and sometimes might how you want to strangle each other, and just how you navigate all of that stuff.
You want to start, Neil?
Yeah, sure. No, I think being partners in life and also partners in the business, I think initially it was a challenge where people told us specifically that we were probably going to fail and we shouldn't be partnering up together. And we took it upon ourselves where initially, because of the negativity, we attempted together. But of course, husband and wife, there were challenges, definitely 100% challenges until to a point of time where we had to understand we're doing this together, that we have the same goal, that what we're doing is for the greater good, for the greater, bigger picture of everything, and not a competition to one another. I usually sit in the back end, looking into the operations and integrating a lot of things into the system where Katrina is going to be the visionary. And I feel we complement each other that way. When by means, all means, there's always going to be arguments, but there's always going to be, it's a healthy argument. And we make sure that we set that boundaries to one another, separating our business life from our personal life, and knowing that we're in it together for the overall good.
Yeah, I can imagine that can be so difficult.
Yeah, no, it is difficult, because we have, in a way, like, yes, we have exact opposite personality, which works out really well because it complements what the business needs, right? I'm the visionary, he's the integrator. I come up with the ideas, he makes it happen. We're not, I've said it before, he's not the wind, because people just see me usually. That's the other part. We've had, like, socially, we've had some challenges with previous friends who kind of like made it seem like a bad thing that it's my name and not Neil's name, right? And it was more of, it's not about the name. The name is just really, it's just a logo, and it sounded right. And it just, we actually found one of our old marketing materials that it says neilandkatrina.com. And it was like, it's not rolling, right? Like it wasn't rolling. And so at some point we decided, like, okay, it's Katrina and the team. And it's that, like, struggle for some people. And Neil and I have had really hard, like, heart to heart about it, right? That it's not just me. People make fun of him that I'm Katrina, he's that team. But it's true, he's actually running the team. My name is just the logo. So it's having to go through that, and our role is to be able to work together to grow the team. I can't do it without him. We can't do it without each other. He's not the wind beneath my wings, we're the other wing of the other, like, I'm the left, he's the right wing, right? So our roles really differ, yet it overlaps, and we just have to be able to work together in order and understand that we're working for something together and it's not a competition.
That's great. You all have a very unique business model, and I'd love if you don't mind, explain as much of it as you can. But you approach things quite a bit differently, and I would say with a level of service that is just absolutely insane. I think to try to deliver on, and so I obviously give props to you and what you've built. But kind of walk us through, if you can, what is it that you all do that is so different?
In the business, like our model, meaning how we serve our clients, and extraordinary services, extraordinary relationships, and that going beyond real estate is our approach. And so how we do it is we believe that it is a blessing to be able to serve the people that we're serving, both as for consumers, our clients, and also the realtors that we work with. And so we want to make sure that we build an extraordinary business. And how we will build an extraordinary business is to provide extraordinary service. And providing extraordinary service means we have to give them more than what they expect, and more than what others can do. And what we've done is we've thought about, and we're continuing to think about, the different ways to serve the clients. On the client facing side, we provide our clients with concierge service, white glove service. We give them everything they need to ensure that the process of moving is smooth. And a lot of people, we thought about what are the things that people normally hate about moving or not like about moving. What are the things that stop people from moving? And so we thought about, other than, of course, the skills are there. It's really important to provide people with the skills. Like they trust us with their biggest assets. But also, what can we do to make it better? What's an extraordinary service? In our area, it includes staging their home. But then people like, well, staging, people provide staging. In our case, we have our own staging department. We provide the staging. We have two stagers on staff. We have our own staging division where we own furniture, we own decorations. We have a 2,500 square foot warehouse that we can stage 40 houses all at the same time. So then the clients don't have to worry about, number one, how do I even start? I've lived here for so many years. I don't even know where to start. So the stager service is there. The providing them with furniture so they don't have to buy furniture, because some people, they don't want to do staging because, number one, it costs a lot of money to hire a stager, and then number two, it costs a lot of money to rent furniture or to buy things they wouldn't necessarily need in their next home. We wanted to make sure that the home is showcased really well so it sells, right? People buy emotionally and justify logically. And so that's how we overcome that. Number one, it makes the home more saleable. The people who lives there and owns the home are proud of what they have because it's staged. So we provide staging, we provide movers, we move our clients, we take care of the move, we provide them with boxes, we we do housewarming parties, we do a lot of things that people don't even think about. And they basically, it's going above and beyond. It's thinking about, how can I pamper this client? So that's just one portion of what we do. And the same thing with realtors. On the realtor side, it's done for you. Like we do everything for them, so then all they need to do is really do the thing that they should be doing, which is building relationships with clients and selling homes.
And it sounds like this is, the idea, or Katrina, an idea that you had in your head, and then Neil, you're the guy that gets in and kind of helps deliver on a lot of this. How do you execute on a concierge type business model at such a high level? There's got to be so many moving parts.
Well, just a lot of moving parts, but we also have a tremendous amount of leadership here on the team and support staff that are dedicated on certain aspects of the operation. Without them, we won't be able to make it happen. We understand that there's going to be errors, there's going to be some problems, but we have to understand that based on our core values being solution focused, when an issue does come up, it's good in the sense that we can find correct that process, or we can reevaluate that process to make it even better. So we're always in a position of making things better, where maybe as streamlined as possible on the back end, on the operation side, and also the client facing or the realtor facing side as well.
Neil documents the whole process. So then it's repeatable, scalable, right? So he thinks about, how can we streamline this? And really, Neil thinks about what could go wrong. So then when we execute, it gets done properly.
So my thought process is when there's a process that we create as a team or myself, I always try to find a way, how can I destroy it or how can I make it fail? Like through the process, always trying to go through the process and trying to find ways to fail it. That way we can try to make it as bulletproof as possible, but we also understand that there will be some errors or some oversights, and it's just trying to go back to the drawing board and just plus one it, make it better.
Was it always like this? Like when you go back to the days where you were talking about how you were secret agents, was it always that you had more of a concierge type business model and not a lot of people knew about it? Or was just something that you had developed over time as you saw the need grow within your organization?
It's both. When I was growing up, I worked for Safeway when I was young, and kind of got ingrained in me about service, like providing high quality service. So when I started, because I started first, I started a year before Neil did, and when I started in real estate, I learned that I need to do something, and so one of the things that I implemented right away is doing housewarming parties and going, providing those little things, because at that time I was new. I can't afford a lot of things. I didn't have the resources, but it started from one thing, and we built it up. We built it up over the years. We added more to it as we built resources. So it's always been, it started with the housewarming party. We've done housewarming parties since day one. Pretty much all the homes we sold, we've had majority. I mean, some people don't avail it. We've had housewarming party for them. And it's consistency, doing it over time. In the beginning, we're doing mostly like parties and servicing, hoping people would refer us. Over time, that can only go so much, right? And so we needed to also layer up the marketing. So, because people need to know what we're doing. Yeah, we're doing all these parties, but people talk about it, but it's only within their circle. So we do get referrals, but if they remember, there's like four miracles have to happen for someone to refer us, right? They have to remember to refer us. They have to have our information. And then the people who referred them have to remember us, and then they have to call us, right? Wherein if they see us out there, if we're marketing as well, that's another layer. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to call them. So when they drive by the bus shelters, because now we have like 42 bus shelters, 10 bus stops, or 3 vehicles that are wrapped, and so they see us now. They see us in the neighborhood. It's kind of like we don't have to really hope for a miracle for them to remember us. It's like top of mind. So, and it adds credibility. Really, when people see that we're all over the place, they're like, well, they're all over the place. They're investing in themselves. If they can market themselves, they can market my home.
That's incredible. Neil, I would imagine that, or well, and this question's for both of you, I guess, not just Neil, but have there been times as you've grown and been like, man, it's a really good thing that you're here, because if you weren't, I probably wouldn't have made it. Because I think there's so many visionary types in the real estate space. Not everybody realizes that they need an integrator that can help execute on their ideas. Not everybody has that. I'm sure there's tough times, but how beneficial has it been? And what are some key ways that you've benefited from just having each other from a complementary standpoint? Two visionaries working together is not always a good idea. As a matter of fact, it's typically a bad idea, because you just end up chasing a lot of ideas that never really come to fruition. How valuable is that to have that kind of like built into what you guys have done?
Katrina?
Oh, yeah. The question was for you. I talk a lot, so I'm like, I'm gonna let you talk about it.
Was it for me?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's not a lot of integrators that might listen to this, but like, what are benefits from your standpoint, Neil, to having a visionary counterpart that can help execute on their ideas? Because there might be people in the industry that are watching this like, yeah, I don't know, I don't typically have a lot of ideas. I like staying behind the scenes. I like being the person that's making the business click. Like, from your standpoint, how is it being an integrator in a big operation, and how do you benefit from having somebody like Katrina?
Well, someone like Katrina, visionary, I think she sees the overall picture. I'll have ideas, but she comes up with many ideas to a point where things are very overwhelming for not only myself, but for our leadership team to implement. But at the same time, is taking all these ideas and just do it one at a time, trying to poke holes into them and then trying to figure out a process and documentation as to how we can make it, how can we make that idea be materialized. Sometimes I trust with her vision is for the greater good, and she has this overall picture for it, and just take that one idea or those many ideas and try to implement it as best as we can, where I don't even have to think too much of the next idea. She'll come up with the ideas and I'll just stay in my lane, which I really enjoy in putting the process together and implementing it. That's what we enjoy. That's what I enjoy.
The key there is having the ideas and then implementing, but also not like, I'm not the type to just give up. I'm because when they tell me that's crazy, that's not possible, that you want this grass to be green and it's winter and like it's dry, or it's dry, it's like there's no rain, like it can't be green, it's like so. And I'm like very solution focused, and then they help me figure out what solution to make it work and what could go wrong, and what would be in my case, like what's the possibility, right? Having a visionary is having someone to be able to say no, it is possible, it's doable. And then having an integrator is, okay, it's gonna happen, these could be the things that could go wrong, and so to save us from having to spend money unnecessarily, these are the things that we can do so we can make it happen.
I think this is like a great spin into the question I was going to ask you, Neil, is like, what do you see that visionaries often don't do that they should do when they come up with ideas? So that way, whenever they go to execute, like, what are some shortcomings of visionaries that we don't often recognize that we really should pay attention to, so that way we can execute on our ideas successfully?
If we have the capacity, resource, and time to implement, or with many, many ideas, I think having all ideas and throwing all, get a timeline that to be done all at the same time, I think that'd be a little bit, I think it's difficult, but at the same time, it's also the responsibility of the integrator to time block and prioritize things. I think it's also important for integrator to communicate with the visionary as to the importance of the priority of certain tasks or things and vision ideas. I think we just need to make sure that we're always in alignment and have the frequent communication with one another. Yes, we're married, so we communicate a lot, but at the same time, we're separating our personal from our business, where we do have time in the business aspect where it's strictly just business, to make sure that reporting as to, okay, this is the idea, these are the positives, the negatives, this is what we've come up with that didn't work out, and trying to find other avenues to make it work. With the support of the operation team and the financial team as well. Just making sure that we're always knowing that we're always trying to work things out, trying to make things work. I think the number one thing is communication, for sure.
Love it, love it. Okay, Katrina, you've built, or together you both built, this incredible company, and you went from kind of obscurity into, okay, we're not going to be secret agents anymore. We're going to get ourselves out there and we're going to make it known. And your business has obviously taken off as a result of that, to a point where you've built this large concierge-based real estate team that is just crushing it. What are, just 2 or 3 things that, if I'm listening to this and I'm like, I like this idea of building a concierge team, what are some of the things that I need to look out for? And I think everybody in this space really wants to serve. They really want to take care of their customers at the highest level possible. And I think you all do it better than anybody I've ever seen with all that you do. And if you don't, I don't think we can probably articulate what all you do for your clients on this show, but I will link the ways that you guys can connect with them. If you're listening to this, you should go check out their model and what it is that they do. What is it that somebody should do if they're like, well, I don't have a lot? Maybe like back when you first got started, you started with housewarming parties. What's my first step? Like, how could I start to over deliver in ways that maybe my real estate competition isn't, so that I could start to give the type of premier service that you all offer?
Look at it from a position of, is this something that I can do repeatedly over time? And is this something that would create that feeling? Because people remember how you made them feel, not what you said, but how you made them feel. And you can start with, how can I help make this client feel special and feel like it's after, like, especially the housewarming party, because that's really the start of it. It was the housewarming party, is because it was after the fact. It was after the fact. I'm done. Like, I got paid already. Really, most people give a basket, and we do give survival kits as well. We don't give the massive, elaborate baskets or extravagant gifts. It's really the small things. And so you can think about making someone feel special. What is it that a client would need or do that would make them feel special, that also creates a little bit more of a buzz, something that their friends would see. So the housewarming party idea came from Brian Buffini. And basically I order food, and it's really simple, and it's just, I used to do it by myself. I would order the food from, I also partner up with a local restaurant, which is a really good idea, is to partner up with a local restaurant. Hey, I'm doing this for my clients. If I add you to my list of people, like list of menu that I offer to my clients, what kind of, like, partnership can we have? So it promotes their business, and it helps me because I get it cheaper. So sustainability, being able to do it repeatedly, the hands-on thing, and it starts somewhere small. You partner up with other businesses to make it more, easy, manageable financially, but it's one client at a time. One client at a time. Think about what you will earn and also the impact that it will have, and you have to do it, something that you can do it consistently. You can repeat it and have it done every single client, because it's not like you go to a housewarming party. The key there is the housewarming party. When we go there, clients love us, and they start like promoting us. Like, we're the star of the show. It's their party. We become the star of the show, and they're like, "Look, our realtor brought us the food," and it's like, and it creates this, like, the other guests are like, "My realtor didn't do that for me." And then the other part is that they start talking about you. You don't get instantaneous, like, "Hey, I want to buy a house today." But again, because it leaves that lasting impression, we have received multiple referrals that has, like, kind of like rippled through years, like years and years of, like, I met you sometimes I ask people, "How did you learn about us?" "Katrina, I met you at a housewarming party. Met you at a housewarming party a couple of years ago." And so there's a lot of lingering kind of like effect to that housewarming party. So think about, what can you do that would leave this feeling of gratitude, and that would also make people talk about. And don't overthink it. Just do something that would create that feeling. Just, if it's housewarming party, do the housewarming party. Don't overthink it. Just order locally. Create like limitations, because we don't want to overspend. Our budget is not that much, but it adds up, because I think last year we had like over 100 housewarming parties
Wow, that's awesome.
that we hosted, and we deliver it ourselves. That's the other part. We do our best, and that's, it kind of gets harder when you scale, but we do our best to deliver it ourselves. So we've had situations, our car, like, sometimes have food, like, and it's not just me, a lot of realtors in our team have had like food like spill, like, especially if it's a stew or something. Yeah, but it is what it is. It's part of growth, and it's part of, running a business, that you will, go through that, and it's fun. The housewarming party is something that we enjoy doing.
That's really awesome. And I love the advice too. It's not that it has to be a housewarming party, but pick something that you can do and that you can do for a long, sustained period of time, really consistently. And I think it's a running theme. And a lot of the people that I interview in the podcast is, it's like, it doesn't have to be this big flashy thing that you do, and you don't have to do a lot of stuff. But if you do a couple things and you do them masterfully at a high level for a long, sustained period of time, which is the key, a long, sustained period of time, you will become known for something, and your business will just continue to take off. It doesn't happen overnight. Nothing does. And so, kind of zoom out, commit to something over a long, sustained period of time. I think it's such a great piece of advice. So if you're listening to this, you're like, I want to figure out how to do something different, something unique. Maybe it's a housewarming party, maybe it's something else, but pick something that you can do, and you can do consistently, and you can do it for a long, sustained period of time. And that is a continuous trend in everybody I talk to. And I just got off just earlier. I was interviewing somebody else, and they're like, success is kind of boring. It's just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again for a long sustained period of time. I appreciate you. I appreciate you both stopping by here. I can't believe it's already been 30 minutes. I appreciate you both stopping by the show and having a conversation with me a little bit. If somebody was listening to this, and even just stepping outside of real estate for a second, if somebody was listening to this and they're like, okay, what is just one thing I can go do right now to take that step from going from ordinary to building something extraordinary? It doesn't have to be, a housewarming party or something like that, but what is something that I can do right now that would allow me to take that first step towards building my extraordinary business?
Am I going? Okay. Well, it actually starts with believing it's possible. Believing in yourself, believing it's possible, and just doing it. Whatever you think about, just do it. Don't overthink it. Just execute, and then you learn from while you're executing. Like we've learned over the years what we did wrong on the housewarming party model, right? So and we've added more things on this layering effect of creating this extraordinary experience for our clients. And it's basically just believing that it's going to work, just executing and learning and tweaking as you go and adjusting, and not no, don't give up. It has to be doing the same thing with consistency over and over and over again, and eventually you'll see the results.
And on my side, one thing is start documenting everything and just implement. Because a lot of the times everything was always in our heads, in our minds, that we know how to implement or how to do the process, but to scale the high level and to make it repeatable and having our partners repeat the things that we do is documentation and just implement.
I love it. Simple advice. Believe that you can do it. And when you do start doing it, document what you do. And I don't think anybody might realize how important that last piece is. Because if you can't, replicate what it is that you do, I always say the number one problem businesses have is understanding how to get customers. And then the second biggest problem is understanding how to operationalize it, because nobody ever writes it down. If you write down what it is that you do, you can repeat it. You can create leverage in your business. You can start really taking things to the next level. So such great advice, such a great story. And again, I appreciate you both so much for spending a few minutes with me here today. This has been a great episode. And I know I've definitely learned a couple things, and everybody else certainly has as well. So thank you all for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all for continuing to listen to The Grant Wise Show. This has been another incredible episode. Take from it what you will, learn from it what you will. It's time to go implement, and it's time to grow. So we'll see you on the next episode. Peace. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant Wise Show. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.